Hello and welcome to GTO Coach and Go. I'm Jim Dellerman with Group Travel Odyssey. I want to thank you for joining us today. And before we get started on today's topic, I want to remind you, if you've not done so yet, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. And also, if you ring the bell, you'll be notified anytime that we have new content on our YouTube channel. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn at Group Travel Odyssey, and make sure to like and follow the Group Travel Odyssey Facebook page. Okay, so today we're going to be talking a little bit about Supplier Manager. There are a lot of things in Supplier Manager that are there for you to use. They're there for you to pull things up onto your trip. But today we're going to show you a little bit about internal use suppliers and also how you can use Supplier Manager app to your advantage. So there are a lot of pointers that you're going to be able to use to make life a little bit easier for you. Now, I am certainly not the expert on this, and I'm not going to be talking all the time, but let's bring on our lead accuracy guru, Sierra Murphy. So Sierra, welcome. There we go. There, you're here now.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So today we're going to go through a lot of the functionality, or some of the functionality of Supplier Manager. And there are ways that each of our companies and each of our members can utilize this to their advantage and put company specific information in, right?
Yes, absolutely. We've talked a lot about on different coaching goes and fast breaks, supplier manager as a whole, what my team does in vetting suppliers, products, and pricings for you, getting tour operator prices. We've talked about how you can have a unique price under a supplier that has many prices for different tour operators. But we haven't talked yet on a coach and go about internal use suppliers. We teach it in training, but we figured we'd throw it out there so that everybody has the same information about how you can make Supplier Manager work better for your specific company.
Excellent. That sounds fantastic. Well, let's go ahead and dive in.
Great. So I will share my screen here and see. I have created, and sure you've seen in tons of coaching goes that we use Awesome Travel as our kind of test supplier products and pricings. And I have created an example called Awesome Travel Internal Use Only. And for those of you that have been using our services for a long time and or are just starting with us, all of you have a supplier that is titled with your company and internal use only, and it is only seen by your company. And this is what houses your tour director products, any swag that you might have, any guide services, or anything that is specific to your trips. So I want to first mention that this internal use only, if you think of yourself as a supplier, what are you paying yourself, or what are you paying out of your budget that your team needs to pay for? And it's not going to a specific supplier. So that's really the key here. We don't want products and pricings or language under here for things that you have to pay to a different supplier, because then when you get to Trip Manager, maybe you created a really pretty language for, Walt Disney World, and your ops team goes to book something and they're like, wait, how do I book this? Who do I pay? That sort of thing. So specifically, your internal use only are things that are coming out of your budget that your team is kind of paying internally, moving some cash around, like your tour director. So there are some great things that come from this internal use only supplier and that you are able to manage. And I want to say that if you have not done so already, I know we've got a lot of new members coming on. We're so excited to service you and even our old members. Every company owner should have designated 1 to 2 people from your company that we train to input unique suppliers, products, and pricings. That includes your internal use only supplier. So for those folks that are designated by the owner of your company, those are the people that will be able to get in and build out these products and pricings for your internal use. A lot of things come from this as far as what's entered and how they're entered. And I want to start with tasks first, and then we'll kind of dial down to the specific products. If you are not a company that uses tasks yet, and that is totally okay, we would love to get you set up if that's something that you're interested in. Tasks are specific to Trip Manager and come off of a specific product. So, for instance, tour director, if you have a product on a trip that is getting booked and the product is tour director, a specific set of tasks that for your company, whatever you want the operations step by step to do to book that tour director can be set up for you. Same thing for attraction, for instance. A product type of attraction, we have just a standard task list saying, you know, uh, request and book and confirm booking, whatever those different tasks are. And those can be edited for your company. So, same thing when you go to your internal use only supplier, we can have specific tasks set up for your company that will help your ops team have a step-by-step booking process, if you will. So that is specific to a product type. And one other thing I wanted to know as far as product types, the big difference in your internal use only are the pricings between a tour director or a tour manager that is with your trip for the entirety of its trip. And by that I mean if your tour director, and we'll take Awesome Travel's rate of $300 per day. The product type of tour director is actually, when you add this to a proposal, going to take that $300 and for each day of your trip. And it does that automatically, again, based off of the product type of tour director. So these product types are very specific, one, in allowing the system to know how to calculate it out, and two, the tasks that we can set up for to be company specific if you would like. So for those of you when you're entering your internal use only tour director prices, tour director, if you think, will calculate every day of your trip. A guide, let's say that you might have different rates for guides, and I put in a couple for examples for you. Maybe you have a $150 airport meet and greet that you pay out sometimes, or a $375 3-hour step-on guide that includes gratuity every time. That, that's your going rate, if you will. All of those can be set up, and those will just calculate specifically one $375. It does not calculate out per day. So typically when our companies are getting set up and they start to add their products and pricings to internal use only, those are really the two things that we want you to know are very specific. Tour director is for the entirety of the tour. Guide service is per day. And you would have to add multiple if you're using it multiple different days. Other than that, what I really wanted to highlight is this can be built out and things can be added specifically onto every trip. So if you have only one rate for a tour director, if you want to automatically add a tour director gratuity to every proposal that is generated so that your sales team doesn't have to go in and physically add it every time. Let's say that you have some company swag that you give to your guests every single tour and you don't want to forget to add it. Again, all of that lies under your internal use only. And if our team knows, we are able to then take those specific products that are specific to every single tour and add it automatically to any proposal that's generated. You may or may not want to keep track of shipping costs. I went ahead and put under, just for an example, maybe you want to add a $15 standard shipping cost per trip just to budget, and then ops can keep track of how much you actually spent. Or another way you could do this is just add a blank price for shipping. We can add it in, and again, it kind of itemizes things in your trip, if you will. Maybe you don't want to use that at all. You don't have to add it. That's okay too. So any type of thing that is company specific that you're paying out can go under your internal use. Another really cool thing that I wanted to highlight that some of our members use and some of them don't, you can choose company-wide whether you want to or not, is this is here for your use. And however you choose to use it, we are happy to accommodate. And one of those really cool things that I think is very useful is there is a product type of no task. And we specifically created this. So if you have some itinerary language that you want that's specific to your company, and instead of having it to enter it every single time you make a proposal or a trip or a final itinerary, maybe, that you keep having to type it out. We don't want you to do that. That is one of the main purposes of GTO, is to enter it once and then it's available for use forever or until the valid end date in my case in Supplier Manager. And so I've kind of created some examples of things that maybe a member company might want to use. So we'll take this. I created just a random product of transportation itinerary language. And if I scroll down, I've created 3, again, blank prices. I just made them valid forever with just wording in it. Maybe you are a line-by-line itinerary person and you want everything noted. You could create a blank price that says walk to dinner, transfer via motor coach, meet your tour director and baggage claim. Any of those little things that you find yourself having to type out every single time for an itinerary or a proposal or a final itinerary, you can go in, add those in to Supplier Manager. And again, it's already there. You just have to choose them instead of having to retype them every single time. I think this is great for companies that want to standardize their language that goes out to their clients. This is a fun one. I live in Orlando, so I created an Orlando itinerary language. Maybe you are a company that likes to have a nice paragraph about the destination and you want to standardize that. You probably have it in an Excel sheet right now and you copy and paste it. You don't have to do that. Everything can lie right here in Supplier Manager. I used our friend ChatGPT to create a welcome to Orlando paragraph. Welcome to Orlando, the enchanting city where dreams come alive. And so I just, again, use this for a fun example. Maybe you want take a magical bus to park hop to the park of your choice. Now, we do have some park hopping language in Supplier Manager already, but maybe you want a different language. Maybe you don't like how, we have it in and you want to use a very specific language for your company. I, again, used ChatGPT to create a fun little Disney Springs description. And maybe I want to add that in for my trips that are going to Disney Springs. All of this can be created in Supplier Manager. You can add a product title. You can have multiple under the same product. And again, it's just a blank price really for itinerary purposes only. Another one.
Yeah, we have a message actually from one of our super users. David had put on here, for any newbies, I've been doing this and creating lines for 2 years. It has saved me so much time.
David, yes.
David is fantastic with this.
David is the king of internal use only supplier. He really makes the system do what he wants it to do. And he is the prime example of creating the language specific to his company that they want on their itineraries, their proposals, and allowing for him to only type it once and then being able to use it for eternity or until they want to change, their frilly Orlando language or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Thanks, David. Maybe you're an adult tour operator and you have specific language about resorts. I did a check-in. Your tour director will make it effortless for you to check in. This was just me playing around. Maybe you have maybe you have a wine reception if you're an adult tour operator. Meet your tour director and other travelers for a welcome reception. I know when I worked in Alaska, I got to host a wine reception at a certain resort that we stayed at. Maybe you're a student tour operator, and when you have pool time, you might have some legality language that you want included about lifeguards or swim at your own risk. Again, instead of having to type that out every time, you can enter it. Again, your company can decide the legality language, enter it once so that everybody has access to it. Everybody knows what the language has to be. And please use this if you're including pool time kind of thing. And, just a cashback. I just created a $20 and $50 one. Anything that your company wants. If you want to do a product for every single destination or your most traveled destinations, if you just want your final itinerary language, if you want a really beautiful paragraph about different destinations, this is all where that can lie. Other than that, that's really what I wanted to highlight. One thing I will tell you is if you're a company that does not yet have someone designated for unique suppliers, please have the owner of the company. That's how we do this. The owner of the company is the one that designates, again, 1 to 2 users that are able to have that ability. I can stop sharing my screen here.
That's okay. You want me to take it off? There we go.
That have that ability, and we will get you trained. And again, that's just me or Kara. Typically, will just make sure you know the difference of product types and how to enter it, and what it affects in Sales Manager. Because everything in Supplier Manager pulls the Sales Manager, and then it pulls the Trip Manager. And so we really are the core of what is going throughout the system. So we just want to make sure that you know how and why things do things depending on how you enter them. And then you can start adding as much or as little as you want. And our team, again, is able to, if we know, add any of these into new trips. If there are things that you want to designate to add, like a tour director or like your swag, we can add those automatically as long as we know we can get that set up for you.
There's another question here. This is not where they're putting like their own language for specific suppliers, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Now again, could you? Sure. If it's just language,
Right.
Again, I want to say this is your system. You can use it as you want to, but when you think about the booking process and how the system is made, to help you, pricing goes under the supplier that you're being paid. And a good example for that, and something that's come up, over the last couple of days, is New York. New York is sometimes hard to figure out who you're booking a ticket through, or how do you book the behind the Emerald Curtain tour? Because you're not necessarily going to find that's not the supplier. The supplier is who we're paying. And so if you think about it like that, and that's how I train my team, products and pricings go under the supplier that you're paying. So your internal use only are mostly just your internal monies that you're paying out, and any actual language that you want. Specific, we'll use Behind the Emerald Curtain tour, for instance, just because I just mentioned it. Love Wicked, by the way. I'm a huge Broadway fan. Yeah. We have a product in Supplier Manager for that product. We have our standard proposal language in there. We already have the 2024 tour operator pricing in the system for it. If you add that into a trip in Sales Manager, you can, and there is, I believe, a Coach and Go. I don't know if it's a Coach and Go or the other one, but there is a way for you to add your own proposal language to that specific price, and it does save and it does carry over. If we are able to, and it's not always possible for my team to hit the create update price button, our nifty thing that links it. If the product doesn't change year over year and we're just updating the price, that proposal language will actually keep carrying through for you. Now, there are certain instances, unfortunately, that the product just changes so drastically that we don't link it just because we don't want your language to carry over. Maybe it's not the same anymore. But for the most part, year over year, when we update from 2024 to 2025 price, that language, you made a much prettier description about the Emerald curtain tour than we did. That will carry over. And again, that language lies on the price, under the product of Behind the Curtain Tour, under the supplier that it's paid for. So specific language to a price goes on the price.
And that's
language.
Something, yeah. And so that's something that they're not going to need to add in under their own internal use supplier, because that's going to live under the actual supplier of like the Emerald Curtain Tour.
Correct. But again, I made that Orlando itinerary language for, as an example, under Walt Disney World, we have tons of final itinerary language. We've got language for the different fireworks shows. They're Disney Springs. We do have some language for Disney Springs. We have just tons of different ones. But if you have specific wording that you want and you want on every single Orlando trip, by all means, go ahead and create it under your internal use. DC is a great example. Under the Supplier National Mall, I believe, is tons of different language for the memorials. As we all know, you walk to a lot of them. You might go to some, you might not go to others. Your tour director might be guiding the tour. You might have a guide that's guiding the tour. You might be doing an illuminated. And so there is just a million ways that you could want to word a trip to DC as far as walking the National Mall. I've created some, and I've even added some, at the request of some operators. But if there are very specific language that you want for DC and your tours do all the time, and you need it to say this, again, you can create it under your internal use only and use it like that. In my opinion, I think it's easier to rely on the supplier and just update that proposal language that's already there specific to your company. But it's totally up to you. Yep. What works for your company and what do you want your company to standardize as far as language in your style.
And that's one of the nice things about GTO is the flexibility that it gives our members to be able to kind of store this information and put this information in wherever they can use it best, so we give you the options and we kind of guide you in directions, but however your company can use it the easiest, that's what we want you to do. We want you to make this your own system, so that way it's making those efficiencies so much better for you.
Yes, exactly.
Excellent. Well, Sierra, thank you so much for all of this information. This is fantastic. And David, thank you for watching again today as well. Just a reminder that GTO Coach and Go happens every other Tuesday at 2:00 Eastern time. So make sure this next week, we're going to be doing a fast break, which is the little short clip that we post on our community forum. So every other Tuesday, we do fast breaks, and then every other Tuesday we do Coach and Goes. So 2 weeks from now, we'll be back with another Coach and Go. So it'll be at 2:00 Eastern time. You can join us again on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, and we'd love to get your comments and stuff as well. Sierra, again, thank you so much for joining us, and for all of you who've watched today. If you have any questions, of course, you can contact any of us, but you can also reach out to our help desk, which is help@gtonetwork.com, and make sure to put help in that subject line. So that way we can target those and track those and make sure we contact you as quickly as we possibly can. So again, thank you so much for joining, and have a fantastic week, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching this episode of GTO Coach and Go. We invite you to stay connected with Group Travel Odyssey on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and be sure to check out more of our media, including Destination Dispatch and the Destinations Beyond Expectations podcast. Please visit our website, grouptravelodyssey.com, where you can learn more about GTO and request a demo. Group Travel Odyssey, business without boundaries.